It's not often that there's news about restricted free agents getting potentially tendered to go somewhere else, but the Lions now have a decision on their hands as Brock Wright has officially accepted a contract offer from the San Francisco 49ers. The question is, what will the Lions do? We're going to talk about it in this episode, folks, so stay tuned.
What are we? What makes us what we are and what we're going to be? It's grit. It's what we started with last year, guys. Doesn't matter if you have one ass cheek and three toes. I will beat your ass.
Can definitely compete with the big dogs.
10-5 end zone touchdown Detroit Lions.
You guys are unbelievable, man. I'm telling you.
We are driven by Detroit.
Hello, Lions fans, and welcome back to yet another episode of MCM Motor City Mania. I'm your host, David T. Pike, and as always, we're diving in. So here's the thing, folks. Not going off script, not really doing anything except just, again, sitting in my chair, just giving you guys my thoughts on this whole situation, because I'm going to be entirely honest with y'all. Restricted free agency is one of those topics that not a lot of people know a whole lot about. It's one of those things that doesn't really get a whole lot of attention because, well, restricted free agency is just one of those things where it just doesn't get a lot of limelight. Most people will talk about free agents that are on the open market. They're unrestricted. There's no strings attached. There's no compensation or anything else that goes along with it. Restricted free agency is this. Pretty much the best way I understand it is, hey, this guy is a free agent, but he's attached to the ball club, and pretty much if you give an offer to said player, the ball club has a chance to match that offer or better, and if they don't, then there's a potential to where compensation, usually in the form of a draft pick, is then given back to the team if they should happen to lose that player. Now, here's the thing. The player that we're talking about from the Lions in this particular case is tight end Brock Wright. Brock Wright is not exactly what I would call a big-time player. He's not a player that's going to garner a lot of attention, but as us Lions fans know, Brock Wright does serve a purpose on this roster. Brock Wright definitely has a role on the Lions roster as to what he provides for the Lions. Now, this particular situation has a couple of little layers to it that I think Lions fans need to be aware of. They need to keep in consideration when we're talking about it. Number one, I'm going to just put this out there and start off. Do we really want the San Francisco 49ers to get one of our players? I'm sorry, but that right there is just kind of like pouring salt into a damn open wound. It's like, listen, you guys beat us in the freaking conference championship game. Now you guys over here, you guys are trying to pilfer one of our players off of our roster. It's like, stay the hell away. Go the hell away. Go find somebody else to freaking try and steal from, but not the Lions. So that right there is just me kind of being whatever. But let's understand this from an all seriousness perspective. We have to understand, like I said, what Brock Wright provides, what Brock Wright means to the Lions roster. Is he the starting tight end? Hell no. That's Sam Laporta's job. He's got that locked down for as long as he's here. But what freaking Brock Wright does provide is a solid receiving option, but an even better blocking option. Again, a lot of people like to look at Brock Wright kind of like an improved Dan Campbell from back when he played with the Lions. Brock Wright is very good as a blocking tight end, but I would say he's a lot better of a receiving option than Dan Campbell used to be when he used to play. Now, what does that mean for the Lions? Well, if we know one thing about the Lions is that Brock Wright has definitely served a purpose in the past in winning games for us in terms of receiving touchdowns. Go back to 2022, he helped us win the game with the last go-ahead touchdown against the New York Jets. You go to the game against the San Diego Chargers, not the San Diego Chargers, I'm way back from there, Los Angeles Chargers this year, his was the last touchdown that got us within the ability to beat the Chargers when we beat them with a field goal at the very end. So again, Brock Wright definitely has a propensity to a certain degree of helping the Lions win in games when things are close or when we definitely need him to show up. But where Brock Wright truly shows up is where it's not usually noticed, and that is in his blocking prowess. He is a very, very good blocking tight end. Whether it's in terms of his run blocking or pass blocking is irrelevant. But I will say this, he definitely is a very good run blocking tight end. And if there's one thing us Lions fans know is that the Lions will want to use extra blockers to help out the offensive line or to potentially get power moves or potentially to try and stretch that line out so that way the running back quarterbacks, whether it's Montgomery or Gibbs, can potentially have a little bit easier time finding the edge because that tight end, Brock Wright, is out there setting the edge as the blocker. So again, having him on the roster, it definitely serves a purpose, whether it's in terms of being a receiving option, though not as likely, but in his ability to move in and out of different formations, to provide blocking schemes, to provide blocking advantages for Ben Johnson to take advantage of. Now, I'm also going to say this. The other little layer to this whole thing that I think is very important is that right now, the tight end position for the Lions is a little bit in murky water. And what do I mean by that? Well, let's first and foremost understand something here. Like I said, Sam Laporta is the undeniable, unquestioned starting tight end. There's no debate on that one. But past that, that's where things start getting a little unclear. That's where things start getting a little bit more whatever. Because then you have the guys, Brock Wright, then you have Shane Zylstra, and then you also have guys like James Mitchell. And it's like, okay, well then who necessarily kind of takes over in that, trifecta of those three? Who's the next guy up? I would think Brock Wright is, because he's the most consistent of them. Well, if you lose Brock Wright, well then you're kind of stuck with Zylstra or Mitchell, which there's not necessarily anything wrong with them. But if I'm being asked, do I want Wright or do I want those two, I would prefer Wright because Wright is a better overall tight end, in my opinion, than Zylstra or Mitchell. So it's like, listen, if we're taking a look at what the 49ers most likely gave to get, Brock Wright to sign that offer, it's probably not much. And if there's one thing we know about the Lions, particularly Dan Campbell, if you are a player that he likes, if you are a player that fits into his scheme, if you are a player that fits into his culture, and it's a cheap deal, and it's a deal that makes sense for the Lions, I don't see any reason why in the hell not the Lions would simply not match the offer to make sure Brock Wright does not leave Detroit. I think it would be really foolish of them to say, hey, you know what, we're just going to let him go to the 49ers. I don't see the Lions in the next 5 days just letting him go, letting him walk out the building. I fully expect they're going to put in an offer to match what the 49ers are doing and that Brock Wright is going to remain with the Lions. If not, I would be very, very surprised. But anyway, I just figured I'd put my thoughts forward really quickly on this. It's not really the biggest news in the world, but I do think it has some merit, it has some importance to talk about. But anyway, having put this episode together, I'm just going to cut it off really quick here and just say thank you all for watching another episode of MCM Motor City Mania. If you like what you saw, by all means, highly encourage you all to watch the next episode. Also encourage you all to do one of these three things: like, comment, and subscribe. If by chance you subscribed in the past and you forgot to do so at the time, or you just subscribed and you not had a chance to do so, again, please subscribe. It really helps me out. But I also want to encourage you all to make sure you turn on that bell notification icon as well, so that way you never miss any more content that I push out. Again, subscription numbers always going up, but we want to make sure you guys also turn on the notification icon so that way you guys never miss any more content as soon as it becomes available. Also encourage you all please to share the content with your Lions friends and family members. Share it here on YouTube, share it on Twitter, share it on Facebook, share it anywhere and everywhere you can with everybody and anybody that you can. The more we can share it, the greater the channel spreads and the greater the channel grows. And with that being said to everybody, I hope you all are having a great day. I hope you all are having a blessed day. I hope you all have something that makes you smile. I hope you all have something that makes you happy. You guys are an absolutely amazing community. You guys are awesome fans, and I'm thankful for each and every one of y'all. And I hope you all enjoyed the content. And with that, I also want to say to you all, God bless, and until the next time we meet, I'll see you all in the next episode.